it's me again. It's either your favorite market bird or your least favorite market bird. And this is my brand new microphone. So I had a pet parakeet as a teenager, and he loved to hear himself echo. He would like put his head like his water dish had water in it, but he'd put his head in the dish but not submerged in the water. Or he'd put his head inside of his bell to hear the echo, and he'd be like, and so every time I see a microphone now because of that bird, I'm compelled to go, that's the bird in me. It's my bird sona. Bird sona. So, this video today is about ILUS, which was heavily requested of me last night, and I've spent the past, I'd say about 4 hours doing research on this company. With that being said, this is not financial advice. This is opinion, speculation. I'm not a financial advisor. You're just really watching this lady in a bird costume stream of consciousness. So, with that being said, let's get into it, as I like to say. Okay, ILUS or ILUS. It's an OTC stock right now, so not everybody can buy it or trade it. Their goal is to get uplisted on the NASDAQ, and we're going to go into that a bit more. So the company is a big investment group, and it gets its revenue, its money in from revenue upstream from its subsidiary companies, more or less. So it acquires or heavily invests in these one companies. And then it's the Santa Claus conglomerate type of company. It makes me think of the Dolly Parton movie 9 to 5 because she does. She works for a conglomerate, kind of like this. ILUS gets its revenue upstream from the company investing globally. And it does remind me a bit of CEI because CEI does that. It has Viking, majority stake in Viking. It has, which Viking then has the patent license agreement to the carbon capture system from ESG Clean Energy. CEI also has the Nevada diesel recycling facility now, the clean diesel fuel facility. CEI is aggressively acquiring companies in the energy sector. This company is more or less aggressively acquiring companies in the firefighting sector, but they do have a couple of outliers, and we're going to talk about that. And I think those outliers are rather interesting. It's going to be a good way to provide a revenue upstream. I'll tell you this. It might not be solely related, but the company's like a conglomerate. The companies I'm going to talk about will do, I think, a good job in the future of providing revenue upstream. So, ILUS is a new company, and it was started in January, and the first shareholder meeting is January 28th in beautiful Las Vegas. They've decided to pick Las Vegas for a shareholder meeting, and I think it's awesome that they're having like a physical shareholder meeting. How many companies do that? Usually it's like a phone-in thing, and it's already pre-recorded, and they just read the results, and it's always disappointing. I really enjoy that they're having like a physical meeting in Vegas and you can party. If you check out the ILUS website, they're going to have meetings where they give demonstrations of their firefighting technology, like live demonstrations, which I think is really cool. Because you go to some of these shareholder meetings with disruptive technology, they talk about the company or they talk about the technology on a website or a PowerPoint, but they don't like physically demonstrate to you what it can do. And I think it's really advantageous if you can physically demonstrate it to the shareholders. You're going to gain a lot more shareholders in that company. Kudos to that for physically demonstrating their products. That's a plus in my book. And the team, if you look at here, the management team is all young people, more or less. There's a couple of older people. They're more like accounting positions, actual finance positions, but a lot of the I'd say engine of the company, the momentum, what really drives the company is all young people. Look at this marketing manager. She's a young person. Look at the CEO, Nicholas Link. He looks really young. I mean, I don't see look, I got gray hair, okay? I don't see many gray hairs on these people's heads. So look at all this gray hair. That's gray hair. That's not like a dye job. People say, oh, what do you do for your hair? Look, that's this is white hair. Because I'm getting old. These people, either they do a great job of dyeing their hair, but they look young. As the CEO Nick says in his video, he's fluid. I like that. That means they're adaptable. They're very fluid. He comes off as being very honest. So I watched this really long video. It's like 45 minutes. And I think Nick does a really good job using the buzzword serial entrepreneur in his bio picture, one that says he's had a lot of failed businesses. If you're a successful entrepreneur, you're going to have many unsuccessful businesses. That's just the nature of the beast. Having unsuccessful businesses, it's not because you failed, but it tells you what not to do. And you can read books and everything, but if you don't have that personal experience to draw on, books only do so much. Like, my hair gets in my mouth now. But I like how it seems that they're very honest, this company, at least the key management team. And then I'm going to show you some other instances where the CEO is very transparent. As transparent as he's allowed to be. ILUS mentions their actual shareholders, which I really like. And the big drawback is they're not listed on the NASDAQ yet. And that's one of their goals. And I was asking people in my live chat, how were they getting uplisted to the NASDAQ? And they weren't too sure. And then I saw this video from Nick explaining. And he actually says it's going to be an out-of-the-box method, but he can't disclose. He's actually under SEC regulation not to disclose it, which I find, one, interesting. Two, kudos to you, Nick. At least you're giving us some sort of transparency. You can't just say spin out, spin off. Oh, crickets. You know, he says, like, look, there's speculation about it. It's going to be a unique way how we're doing it, but I'm under regulation. You know, I can't tell you SEC regulation. I'm under FINRA regulation, but we're working very hard. I really like that transparency. He provides a lot of assurance. He explains things to the shareholders.
January. So I'm not at liberty to say too much about the exact detail, exactly the plan, exactly what's going to happen. All I can assure people is that there is a plan, a very clear plan, and there will be an uplisting that is at the forefront of our mind and the forefront of our business plan and our strategy. It's slightly outside of the box of what's being done or normal, which I guess you've probably come to bear to understand. That's how we operate. We have our own plan. We're not a sheep. We don't follow the market and follow everybody else. We have a very definitive idea of where we're trying to go, what we're trying to do, and we will get there. And I think you guys have got to know JP Backwell, the managing director of ILUS, very well over the last few months, as he's sort of been taking a lot more of the reins and a lot of the pressure off me while I'm really been working on this bigger plan and the bigger strategy.
Granted, this video's long. You gotta get a favorite beer and popcorn. Right now, I'm drinking coffee. That's probably why I'm all jazzed. This is coffee. But I like how they talk specifically to the shareholders, and they want to have like shareholder meeting or mini meetups. I think that's really cool. And the fact that he listens to the shareholders and looks at forums, or has his team look at forums, and then he does this video to answer speculative questions. To me, that speaks volume about the management of the company. I really like that. The disadvantaged ILUS. Now, they're OTC. That's one disadvantage, but they're a brand new company. Okay, give them some slack. They're a brand new company. They have a massive amount of outstanding shares. So share count is 1.3 billion. Nick states in that same 45-minute PR video, when they get uplisted to the NASDAQ, he doesn't want to do a reverse split. Which, one, that's cool. Two, we'll see how it does, what out-of-the-box method this will be. Because that's really interesting. The reverse the lack of reverse split and the reverse split. It makes me want to do another video about metamaterials. Watching and researching this over the past, 8 hours essentially, starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, has given me a lot more insight to metamaterials and how they said no reverse split, guys, but then they did a reverse split. And then Nick explains here is trying to avoid that reverse split. So metamaterials, yeah, plan to do this, and that's going to be my next big video. It's kind of all like mapping itself out to me the deeper I go into this. I think a lot of people might get angry, but if that's what's happening here, it helps us make better informed decisions. Nick goes on to mention share count is 1.3 billion. There are smaller companies that have a potential to get faster, quicker, be more volatile, because they have a very low float. And one of them is DRCR, which is Deere Holdings. He says this stock can easily get to 10 in the near future. And that was in November. And upon doing this today, December 6th, the company's actually ready to release an app. So that got me excited. Especially when Nick says it has the potential to get to 10 when a CEO is talking about this. It's very interesting. So what is DRCR? DRCR is it's a holdings company, but they are releasing a sports gambling app, a worldwide sports betting app that accepts crypto because it's more universal and easier to convert, plus that blockchain. So that's going to be really interesting. If you like betting on sports or you always wanted to bet on your favorite highlight team, now's your chance with this app. And it makes me think of Biff when he stole the sports almanac from Back to the Future. Imagine if he had like that sports almanac and he could use this app to make bets with crypto. Biff would run just more than Hill Valley. And gambling is human nature. That's why Vegas, Sin City, is so popular, and maybe why ILUS is holding their meeting in Sin City. DRCR currently sits at about $1.50 when I was making this pre-market, and then it opened up at like 148, dropped down to 146, and we'll see how it goes for the rest of the day. They're not all about gambling though. So the primary focus of the company, the gambling provides really good revenue upstream to ILUS. That's going to provide good revenue upstream. But the heart and core of the company is firefighting technology. Firefighting, emergency rescue response technology. By firefighting, I don't just mean sprinklers in a building. As he says, if you say firefighting, that's like a really broad application. We're focusing more or less on emergency response. One of the technologies and the companies he talks about is Firebug, and it's this application you put on the fire nozzle of the hose, and what happens is it's more effective at putting out fires, and it reduces the water usage, which means you can fight bigger fires, either bigger fires with the same amount of water or use less water to fight currently sized fires. If that makes sense. It's way more effective. I see this as a good way to save municipalities a lot of overhead, because it's not just, you have to pay somebody to put water in the tank. You have to maintain those water tanks, but then it's the fuel cost to move the water. Or if you need 2 trucks now, you have to pay for those 2 trucks. But if you can do it in 1 truck, then that's going to save the municipality a lot of money. I see that. Private firefighting companies. It's forestry services with the wildfires, like the Australian wildfires of 2020, having this application, I think is great. The CEO Nick then talks about the e-raptor, which, okay, edit. I thought for some reason the e-raptor was like a 6x6. It's not like a 6x6 deuce and a half. It's like a gator or a side-by-side. So out here in Texas, we just call them side-by-side. Some people call them gators. Some people call them, you got Rhino brand or Gator from John Deere. They have different monikers. But it's like, picture an ATV, but people can sit inside like a little car, and they're very expensive here. They don't depreciate in Texas. Okay, the 6-wheel design I can see, because then you can put a bunch of stuff in the back, like maybe some concrete, maybe some welding stuff, as you know, animal feed, fertilizer, as far as agricultural applications go. The firefighting, perhaps, you know, they do have a bit more off-terrain ability, like an ATV, than your traditional, you know, like cars do. They have a bit more off-terrain. The 6 wheels would allow for a heavier capacity in the back, kind of like a dually truck. However, EV also right now lacks towing capacity. So if you tow trucks or you tow a trailer, you know, I got animals, I got horses, you tow that trailer, your gas mileage gets significantly reduced. When you tow an EV vehicle, there's YouTube videos, go watch, like they can only tow like 100 miles with a light little, you know, pop-up camper with their EVs. So the capacity to tow right now is pretty limited with EV. I'm hoping that'll change soon. I'm hoping that'll change in the next few years, where you can have a bigger range of vehicle mileage for towing capacity. Now, 100 miles on a farm, you know, if you can get that out of this particular vehicle, is actually a lot. But you are off-road, so again, there are limitations to EVs right now in this application. The technology is still very early. But I think as time goes on, there's definitely that potential there. And like I said, you don't have to go get gas or diesel. You can just charge it up once the infrastructure comes in for EVs. Because that's also a very big problem. Like, because you don't drive it that far unless you have like a 7,000-acre ranch. You don't drive it that far. You know, sometimes you do run out of gas and you're like, oh, forgot to put the gas in it, because, you know, you're only driving around a little bit. So that'll be interesting. It's easier, though, when you do run out of fuel, to put some gas in it or diesel than to, like, try and recharge it up and it's stuck in a field. We'll see how that pans out. I think if you had, like, a hybrid engine, that would be a lot better. Because then if you do run out of gas or battery in the field, you can, you know, maybe switch to gas or something. That's my take on it. Finally, let's get into the crypto play, which I think this would attract a lot of people. It's an interesting use of the crypto. So ILUS has the ILUS coin, and it's backed financially by the fancier Toto. Sadly, it's not Toto the band. I bless the brains down in Africa. Which that song, like, comes around every so often and becomes popular again for whatever reason. So it's financed by Toto, the company, not the band. But I'll put Toto up here anyways. Financed by Toto. This coin is the quasi. It's only tradable on 2 platforms. The quasi-tradable preferred share for ILUS. And that's how they're doing it, preferred shares through this crypto. So, as an ILUS coin holder, you're going to get quarterly revenue from the company. As long as you hold it for like 60 days or something, you're going to get quarterly revenue. And the revenue is paid in coin. What happens is you get the revenue, you know, you get your little dividend from owning this coin. And it's profits from the company, you know, distributed to the coin, but they pay you in coin, okay? Now, as the coin holders then vote that they want to keep those coins, or they want what's called a buyback and burn, where Toto buys the coins back and then burns them. So you get that cash money. And then that also prevents inflation of the coin because there's less coins. That seems like a really interesting and interactive way to do a preferred share. I'm eager to see how this will work out. Again, you can accumulate coins, or you do the buyback, but you can't do it individually. You have to vote. Like, they'll take a majority vote on it. So if the shareholders, you really want that money, but the majority of shareholders say they'll keep their coins, it could be a great way to accumulate coins quickly, right? Like, well, not quickly. It could be a great way to accumulate more coins. And then when dividend payouts happen later on down the road, you have all those coins now. But we'll see how this goes. I like the interactive aspect with the shareholders on that. How will we distribute your money? I really like the choices that they give. Again, this company seems to really focus on the retail shareholder right now and not the institutions. That might change when they get to NASDAQ, but for right now, it seems like they're having fun with the retail investor, which I really like. And then what happens is selling this preferred share through the ILUS coin provides their subsidiaries with funds. So, if Firebug, the company who makes the Firebug, needs more funding, Toto can provide it to them because, you're buying into this. That's how a company makes money. They sell preferred shares. It actually is a direct financier for the company. If you buy the ILUS coin, then the subsidiaries, are there to make better firefighting technology. E-raptor can get better. The Firebug can get better. It's very interesting. And like I said, you buy the coins or you just keep the coins. And then, that dividend money more or less gets redistributed to the subsidiaries when you keep the coins. You vote. You vote on this. Do you want the money to go back into Toto, or do you want Toto to buy back your coins and give you money? I think the choice is very interesting to the shareholders. Okay, my overall take is DRCR, which is the gambling app for sports betting, has a fun short-term profitability as suggested by Nick, but we will see. There's always risk involved, and this is my opinion, not advice. The team of ILUS, Nick, the marketing director, the chief technology officer, they're all young people. They're innovative. And as the CEO stated, that they're fluid. They're able to change and be dynamic and adapt to these new global situations. While the large amount of shares in ILUS and the big float can deter a lot of people. You're not going to see any fast gains on this. The lack of reverse split when they get to the NASDAQ will also be interesting. That can be, deter away a lot of investors because they want that quicker money. The fact that the CEO offered faster ways to earn income and reinvest it in ILUS was rather interesting. I see ILUS right now as low risk because the share price is only 45 cents and it's a new company and they have a target market. Their target market is fire, rescue, emergency response services, and they have all these branches which they will use more or less in tandem with one another. Like here's the EV, here's the Firebug, here's a bunch of technology which can be integrated for fire. I like that. And also ILUS offers shorter term plays for investors looking to seek faster money. The company shareholder meetings in Las Vegas. I find that fun. And the company seems to care about you, the shareholders, more than most companies do. I like that. The CEO gives you good assurance. He provides updates. He and his team browse social media, forums, and see what speculation is being done on the company. And right now there's a lot of that spin-off, spin-out speculation. If you look at this video, Nick talks about spin-off and spin-out. I talk about that to my live stream last night and how there's no real legal definition between spin-off and spin-out. That's more or less a vernacular. But in my book, I like the CEO of this company quite a bit, and I like the management team. They're new and innovative and younger, fluid, adaptable. There's a lot of interactive shareholder features that the company has, like the ILUS crypto, I think is a really interactive way for you to determine where the financing goes, where the money goes. Does it go back to you as a dividend, or does it get reinvested into these other companies that are under the ILUS umbrella name so that they can generate more revenue for you, better technology? It's really interesting. Plus, I see ILUS as a long-term investment of 2+ years. They're brand new, so they're going to take a while. But it's low risk at 45 cents, and in 2 years they might be a lot bigger than they are now. Especially with the push for EV and all the wildfires that happened in Australia in 2020. Lots of wildfires in California. Imagine if they had the firebug. That would be pretty cool. Nick also talks about firefighting robots and how the firebug can also be used with robot. And I like how he acknowledges firefighting robots in the future. I think as time goes on, you're going to see a lot more firefighting robots. So what really does it for me again is this management team. They certainly have impressed me, especially with going through in their video and answering questions that they see on forums. I'm really interested in the stock now. Like I said, I see ILUS itself as low risk now, and then with a 2-year growth potential pretty high. We'll see in the 3 to 5 year range. That's my opinion on it now. I got pretty excited, but I get excited for a lot of things. I'm an excitable person. Probably why I adopt the bird persona. Birds get excited. Okay, guys, I will talk to you later. Goodbye.